If there is a bug going around in your office or your school, you're not alone. Chances are it's the common cold rearing its head, and scientists are getting closer to a cure. Senior health correspondent Monica Robbins connects us and connects the dots for us, too.
Scientists say they've come up with a way to stop the common cold, an achievement that has eluded doctors for hundreds of years. So how they do it? Let's connect the dots. The common cold virus has really been tough to fight because it's caused by something known as rhinovirus. Not just one, but 160 different types of rhinoviruses. And they can mutate so quickly and easily that coming up with a treatment is like trying to nail down Jell-O. But in a new study in the journal Nature Microbiology, researchers at Stanford and the University of California, San Francisco took a different approach. You see, individual viruses don't have all the parts needed to multiply. Instead, they infect a cell and steal what they need. So the researchers used modified cells with the protein needed for the viruses to reproduce switched off. It stopped the common cold dead in its tracks. And when it comes to using the treatment in humans, scientists are not suggesting genetically modifying people, instead using drugs to suppress that protein temporarily. A medical achievement that may be nothing to sneeze at. Monica Robbins, Channel 3 News.